Welcome to Nice and Blunt. Thank you for joining me for part 3 of my NFL offense tier list. This video is for the NFC East. Kick things off with the division winners from last year, the Washington football team. And boy, I can't tell you how grateful I am that I do not have to utter a racial slur every time I talk about this football team. I love Terry McLaurin, but I really hate Dan Snyder. Fuck you, Dan Snyder. The football team has a very underrated offense, in my opinion. Last year, their quarterback situation was really not something to be envied. However, with the new quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think everyone else gets a boost. There's going to be a lot more deep throws, and the ball is going to be pushed down the field. He may throw a few more interceptions. However, this defense can kind of cover that, and they're going to be competitive throughout pretty much every game. I really doubt we're going to see many blowouts with the Washington football team if they lose. He's got one of the best wide receivers in the league, Terry McLaurin, who in his first career 24 games had 1,700 yards, which was more than Jerry Rice, Andre Johnson, Calvin Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, and also Terrell Owens. So if you didn't believe that Terry was special, that stat should speak for itself. But Terry's a guy you can count on, and another player you can count on is their tight end Logan Thomas, who saw over 100 targets last year and 6 touchdowns. So very similar to TJ Hawkinson, and he did sign a contract extension this offseason, so the team really believes in him. At running back, they also have a rising young star, Antonio Gibson, who, in my opinion, is a top 12 back, at least in fantasy, that is. I think he'll probably catch some more passes and maybe creep up into the top 10 if he can stay healthy. They also have some other depth pieces at the wide receiver position. Curtis Samuel, who they signed from Carolina, who will be reuniting with Ron Rivera, he saw 97 targets last year and some rushing attempts, so he should have a very involved role on this team. And even De'Ami Brown, who played college at North Carolina, he was the 3rd round pick for the Washington football team. I think he offers some upside too. This offense is, like I said, underrated. That's why I'm putting it in the reliable tier. I view it very similarly to the Carolina Panthers. Moving on to second in the division last year, the New York Football Giants, and it was kind of impressive that they were able to salvage 6 wins after starting 0-5 last year. However, it was on the back of the defense and the coaching, not really the offense. And there's really just one major flaw with the New York Giants offense, and that's Daniel Jones. It's partly also the offensive line, but at the end of the day, Daniel Jones is the one who fumbles the ball, and I really just don't like the upside of this offense. I don't think that they're going to convert in the red zone as much as we'd like to see. And there's too many weapons in the passing game for me to trust any one player. They signed Kenny Golladay in free agency. They also drafted Kadarius Toney in the 1st round. They have Sterling Shepard, a pretty good option. They still have Evan Ingram. And Darius Slayton is a very interesting deep threat wide receiver, but no player I think is going to be consistent. Kenny Golladay wasn't fully healthy in training camp, and neither was Saquon Barkley, who behind this offensive line I think is going to struggle and put up a very inefficient season, but I'd still draft Barkley in the 2nd round, so that's why this team is just risky as fuck. It's almost in hell no territory, but it's the first team in tier 4. Third place in this division last year was the Dallas Cowboys, and we all know that they had a very unfortunate injury when Dak Prescott hurt his ankle in week 5. In the 5 games that Dak played, we saw one thing and one thing only: a high volume of pass attempts in this offense. They weren't exactly efficient. They weren't scoring that many touchdowns. However, in the 4 games that he completed, Dak Prescott was throwing 50 passes a game. And with that type of volume, the wide receivers don't need to score touchdowns in order to return top 15, top 20 fantasy value. There's just one contingent though. If Dak Prescott gets hurt, this team craters to a risky as fuck option. This team is very Dak dependent. We know that Zeke is not the same player if Dak is not under center, and their backup quarterback situation is not as good as it was last year. So if anything happens to Dak, you will be screwed if you have a Dallas Cowboy on your team. Except CeeDee Lamb. I think he's probably the last player who will fall off a cliff in fantasy value no matter what happens to Dak Prescott. That shoulder injury is a little concerning, but they protected him enough to keep him healthy for week 1. I think you have to trust this team at the moment. They are definitely in the reliable tier 2. And lastly in this division, a team that decided to sit their starters in the final game of the season, even though they were probably going to win, the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts at quarterback really caps the upside for pretty much every skill player on this team. If it's a running back, they're going to see less volume because Jalen Hurts will run the ball. And if it's a receiver, they're also going to miss out on some volume because Jalen Hurts will run the ball. He is a very reliable quarterback going outside the top 10. I think his rushing stats give him a very solid floor, but I don't think his upside is as high as it was in those first 4 games. I think the league is going to figure him out a lot quicker. Defenses have tape to go on, so they know what to expect from Jalen Hurts, and it's more likely that they draft another quarterback in next year's draft than stick with Jalen Hurts for the long-term future. I have no idea what to expect from Nick Sirianni's coaching staff. I'm not excited, and even Dallas Goedert doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence in me. As long as Zach Ertz is on the team, stealing targets away from Goedert, I don't think that Goedert is anything more than a floor play. At best, at tight end, he's going to really struggle to score more than 5 touchdowns. And at the tight end position, that's what you need. And even Devontae Smith worries me as well. He looked like he was dropping a lot of passes. They weren't all catchable, so I don't blame him entirely. But I'm just not really excited about the Philadelphia offense. The only player who instills confidence is Jalen Hurts, and that's why I'm also putting them in tier 4. The Philadelphia Eagles are risky as fuck. So that's going to wrap up the NFC East. Thank you for watching this video. If you made it to the end, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more content. My name is Adam Riancho, and thank you for watching Nice and Blunt.